What's good? Welcome to the Post Op Podcast presented by Malleyway. It's your boy Malik. Thanks for tuning in. So the Raptors just finished playing the Philadelphia 76ers. It's game 44 of the season. The Raptors won 107-95, so that's good news. It was a hard-fought game. The Sixers came through with the heat. The Sixers, they went up on the Raptors as much as 14 points. So a lot of people are thinking the 76ers are actually better without Joel Embiid. And that's not a knock to Joel Embiid. I think people are just looking at the chemistry between Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. You know, as you may know, Ben Simmons is a 6'10" point guard. He can get to the lane whenever he wants, but at the same time, he has no shot whatsoever. So the fact that he's playing with Joel Embiid, people think that Joel Embiid's, on his best days, he's probably the best big man in the league. But the problem is when he's in the paint, he's kind of clustering the paint, and that's where Ben Simmons does all his work. So basically, if Ben Simmons can't drive, then he can't really do anything else, because that's how he initiates the pass. Everybody knows he has no shot. And even if he had a shot, Ben Simmons is not trying to take that shot. So it's, Joel Embiid dislocated one of his fingers, so he's out for a few games. It's a good learning phase where we're actually seeing what Ben Simmons could do with the rest of the squad. He's obviously, taking charge. And, so pretty much for the first half of this game, he's been looking pretty good. But at the same time, the Raptors, they're on a hot, they're playing nice right now. I don't know if you guys noticed, but over these past 5 to 6 games, Norman Powell's been, he's been ready to go. I didn't do a pod for the last couple of games, but, if we look back as far as, the OKC game, Norman Powell dropped 23 points. And then against the Wiz, Norman Powell went for 28. Against the T-Wolves, Norman Powell dropped 20 points, and then the Hawks 27. And then today against the Sixers, he had 18. But he's on a hot stretch. Norman Powell, he's been doing his thing. I like what I'm seeing from him. He seems to be, super aggressive. He's not, forcing his shots. He's playing within the flow of the offense. But I'm seeing that in the third and in the fourth quarter, he seems to be like the best shot creator right now. He's looking for a shot. He's been sinking all his threes. His 3-pointers were falling over the past 5 games. Today not so much. I think he was 1 for 5 from 3 today. But at the same time, he was still aggressive. Norman Powell knows what he's doing. And, he's getting the confidence from his teammates. So I like what I'm seeing from Norman Powell. Obviously it's coming at a rough time for OG Anunoby. A lot of people are down on OG right now. Some people are mentioning that Norman Powell should maybe start over OG. Again, OG is, our starting 3. He's 6'8", over 200 pounds. So we need a guy like that at the 3. But the problem with OG is he really needs to develop a go-to move, because tonight was ugly for OG. So if he's trying to build a case to keep his job over Norman Powell, tonight was not the night. OG Anunoby had, he played 21 minutes, 0 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. That's unacceptable for your starting small forward. To be honest, my man OG, I like his development. Last year he didn't really get to play a lot. He was dealing with a lot of family issues, and then he had an appendectomy. Me personally, I think like if OG was in the lineup last year with Kawhi, OG would have brought a lot of value, because his only job would have been to defend guys like Kevin Durant and Iguodala. So basically, OG has value. He has value. But if we're waiting for OG to average 20 points a game, I think we have to bring down our expectations, because OG right now, this is his third or fourth year. And he still hasn't. I still don't really see a go-to move. He's not comfortable pulling up, pulling up a little fadeaway, or maybe back to the basket, bodying some of the smaller guys. or he doesn't have a go-to offensive move. So it's hard to be consistent in scoring if you don't really know what you're doing when you get the ball, right? So OG, God bless him. Like I think OG can, he can be a pretty good 3-and-D player in this league. But I'm a realist. I think sometimes Raptors fans were a little bit too optimistic. What I'm seeing from OG, I don't think we can run an offense through OG. And right now, I think what we need to do is just focus on developing his offensive arsenal. But yeah, so shout outs to Norman Powell once again. I like what I'm seeing. Keep doing what you're doing, and in terms of this game, he did a pretty good job. Norman Powell again 1 for 5 from 3, which is the only downside, but he still had 18 points. He only played 28 minutes and shot 6 for 11, so 54% from the field. So he's always aggressive, and he was a plus 23, so his plus minus is on point. He obviously we outscored our opponent every time he was on the floor by 23 points. So this is good. If we look at the rest of the roster, Gasol Gasol seems like he's back on a fresh pair of legs or something. Like this guy, I see him posting up. He's a little bit more aggressive. He did mention that while he was injured. I don't know if it was the coaching staff or some of his teammates, but people were telling him that, when you get back, you got to be aggressive. And that's really important because Gasol, especially last year, that was one of the things that was really annoying to me. He just would not take the shot. Like, I understand that, he's crucial for, our ball movement. But at some point, like, the ball's moving, coming back to your hands. You can't look left or look right. You got to take that shot. And sometimes Gasol would, like, overpass like crazy, and that used to drive me nuts. But I'm seeing that ever since, and he started like that in the beginning of this year. He kind of started super he was super lackadaisical. He wasn't really, Gasol never really feels like it's his job to do anything on the offense, right? So clearly somebody must have gotten in his ears. Somebody did tell him that this year we're gonna need your scoring. Or in my opinion, I think it's because all these trade rumors are coming through right now. And for those of you, if you watch the NBA, you know that when a team wants to trade a player, obviously they're gonna make the ball go through them, right? You gotta showcase your value out there. And Masai Ujiri, our president of basketball operation for the Raptors, he's a smart guy. A lot of people, like I said, I keep saying, if you guys listen to this, that I don't get emotional with these players. A lot of Raptors fans are saying that we shouldn't. What are we right now? We're third in the East. So a lot of fans are saying we shouldn't make any moves, or we shouldn't make any, drastic moves. We're third seed. We have a chance to even be the second seed in the East. We're half a game back from Miami Heat. And people really want to make that playoff push. But again, as a realist, when I look at this, first of all, I'm still, on the championship hangover. I'm happy with the ring. I know what we could do, but at the same time, we got to be a smart organization. If you look at the GM for the OKC Thunder, Sam Presti, he makes the right decision most of the time. Obviously, there was some blunders here and there. Obviously, with James Harden, which I think was a bad decision, not retaining James Harden. But at the same time, these guys are a small market team, so obviously there's some financial aspect to it. But aside from that, he's proactive. If he knows there's nowhere to go but down, he's gonna make some moves. He's not just gonna wait for all the assets to walk away, right? So again, I think the fact that Gasol is being aggressive and is playing raw. Like, what was he today? I think he was 7 for 7 from the field. 7 for 7, shooting 100% from the field. I mean, he's focused, laser focused, 3 from 3 from 3-pointer. So he shot 100% from the field and 100% from 3. I mean, obviously that that's not sustainable, but that shows you the level of focus that Gasol is playing with. He played 24 minutes, 17 points. Again, Norman Powell, Gasol, all these guys that are putting in work. I'm happy that they're increasing their productivity, but But at the same time, I think, if Masai Ujiri is doing what I think he's doing, I think he's going to survey the market really hard, because even though we're third seed in the East, we got to look at this roster, and we got to look at the way they've played against good teams. That's what people need to be reminded of, not just the games against average to no name teams, right? You don't want to bank your whole future on these type of games. So the Raptors have been good. They beat the team that they're supposed to beat, but at the same time, when I look at them, against the Miamis, when I look at them against the Bostons, when I look at them against the Milwaukees, I don't think right now, as presently constituted, I don't think they can challenge them in the playoffs. Even Philly, there's moments in there where I saw that they're struggling a little bit. Van Fleet, he had a big second half, but in the first half he was struggling. And if you remember last year against Philly, the entire series, Van Fleet was could not get a bucket. Maybe it's because of his size. Philly is a big team, but we can't have these. We can't have these struggles. And even though the regular season is important, at the end of the day, all that matters is the playoffs. So again, I think Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, the general manager, these guys are surveying the field. There's rumors, there's reports that came out a few days ago. I think one of the reports came from Dan Woik of ESPN Central, and also it was also came out from Adrian Wojnarowski. I can't even pronounce his name. That's why they call him Woj. He dropped the Woj bomb. So a couple sources indicated that some teams believe that the Raptors would listen to calls on players like Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka. And there's even speculation that Kyle Lowry could be had at the right price. So again, it kind of supports my theory. I think Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, I think they're looking at this trade deadline as an opportunity to stack up us on some asset. Right now, we have a lot of good players. They're doing their job. Nick Nurse, to me, is one of the best coaches in the league. He's proving it every day, day in, day out. But we still don't really have consistent talent. Pascal Siakam, if you watch the game today, I know he's back from an injury. He's still kind of getting himself worked up. He's a little... I feel like he saw some of the guys around him kind of going off. He saw Gasol, he saw Norman Powell playing well, and Van Fleet, and it looked like he was forcing a few things. He was, running into guys being, getting called for an offensive fouls. He didn't really have, a good game today. If you look at his stat, Pascal Siakam had about 18 points, 15 rebounds, which is really good. But he shot 8 for 23 from the field and 1 for 8 from the three. So basically, 34% from the field and 12% from the 3-point line. Again, it looks like he's forcing it. I don't think he should be. At this point, he doesn't need to force it. He already got his bag, got his new contract. He just needs to play within the flow of the offense and try to regain his confidence. Yeah, he's he's definitely our best player. He made some massive leaps from year to year, but I don't see a number one option on our team yet. Again, I keep mentioning it. I don't see somebody who's consistent enough to average, I would say, 20 to 28 points a game, and at the same time take the team or carry the team on his back at the end of games. I don't see that yet. So because of that, I don't think we're going to be successful in the playoffs. And I really believe that if we can, package a few of our guys, even though we have a nice record and people are hoping that we're going to, get back to the NBA Finals, which I don't. If we can get a nice deal, I think we go for it. Now, like I mentioned in the last pod, names like Andre Drummond and Kevin Love popped up. Not one of my first choices. But again, we can go out there and look for people, right? There was, rumblings in Indiana that Indiana is a small market team, and sometimes they try to save some money by cutting salary. And there was rumblings that that Miles Turner might be available. So if Miles Turner ever becomes available, he just signed a new deal. I think it's a 4-year deal for $18 million a year, and that's supposed to last through the 2022-2023 season. But if we can get a hold of Miles Turner, I think we go for it. So guys like that, talented guys that teams don't really want to pay, we got to find a way to bring them to Toronto. Pair him with Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet, who are probably part of the future, and maybe Norman Powell. But if we can do it, again, no hard feelings for Ibaka, for Gasol, for Lowry, but it's part of the business. These guys, we show our appreciation by giving these guys contracts, and like you can see, these guys are getting paid. But it was a good game. The Raptors won 107-95, like I mentioned earlier. There was an interesting stat that actually came from ESPN. So every player that scored for the Raptors scored at least 15 points, and apparently that hadn't happened in the NBA since 1996. So that's pretty impressive. If you look at the box score, every player that scored, which is Pascal Siakam, Marc Gasol, Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka, and Norman Powell, they all scored over 15 points. Everybody else had 0. But hey, a win's a win, right? We'll take it however it comes. But so I guess on an ending note, we could look at who had the most impact today. I would say if we had to give a game ball based on what I saw, I would pretty much give the game ball to Marc Gasol. I think Marc Gasol, pretty much brought the right type of energy today. 17 points on 100% shooting from the field and 100% shooting from 3. That's got to be appreciated. But leave some comments. Let me know what you think. The Raptors on a hot streak right now. The trade deadline is coming up, so it's an interesting time in the NBA. I'm looking forward to what these GMs are going to be releasing or leaking soon, or what type of conversation is going on. But again, can't wait to assess all this. Please leave comments. You guys can hit me up at Mallyway27, Twitter, Instagram, and until next time, peace.